Messing around with a bunch of filters and stuff, moving some things around. Mostly just playing with adding some stuff that I've picked up from some YouTube videos over the last few days. Let's get the camera under that. Like, I've added that whole little audio thing down in the bottom left. The animated background is part of a pack. It's from owned.tv. It was a stream collaboration they did with Harris Heller. I can send you the source files for all of it. I need to work on it. Getting more of it. It's like a lot of stream elements stuff. Streambeats is indeed copyright free. That was the whole point of what he was doing. He went out, started by hiring a bunch of folks on like Fiverr to make him songs, and then he put them together, and he's actually running his own studio with it now, making a hell of a lot more than he ever made doing streaming and stuff. I'm gonna stop it and start a new one for the Vow runs. I've got a thumbnail and I'll change the title and stuff. I mean, we've still got, well, an hour until we're supposed to do that, so yeah. Yeah, no, I'll probably switch it over like 15 minutes before, whenever we start to actually gather up and get ready for this. Nice. And I did a pretty basic one. It's the stock photo of a team standing right in front of Rolk, and then I've got Chaos Theories up at the top and Vow the Disciple Flawless Attempt down at the bottom. Fair enough. Yeah, no, I just pushed the I put the thumbnail I'm going to use into the Discord for you. I also just messaged you the link. It's got the Alpha Gaming zip for all of the it's got this intermission screen. Well, it's got the background. I've added the text. It's got the what do you call it? It's got the font. It's got a whole bunch of alerts and stuff. Yes. I have my OBS set up. When I start streaming, it automatically starts recording and doing a replay buffer as well. But yeah, the also included in that, so there's a bunch of alerts and stuff that you can set up through Stream Elements, but it also has the little border that I've got under my camera, and then I actually have that set up as a I went to a scene that didn't have my audio sources in it. That's why I was muted. Any better now? Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. Yeah, so I switched to a scene in OBS that didn't have my audio sources scene plugged in as a source. Yeah, anyway, the bottom border here and the text are part of a Stream Elements web source. And then I'm doing some really weird stuff with my camera that I got from a nutty video. I've got my actual camera, which is turned off, and then I've done a scene mirror on it twice. So one of it is the green screen, and then the other one is the background, and then I've blurred the background and put a mask on it with the rounded corners. I also put the mask on the green screen one, but then it will let me do things. Hang on. Let's go scene. Add my game display here. I can do weird things like this where it's in front of the background but still behind me. But I think before we get done with, or before we get started with the actual raid tonight, I want to get everything set up for doing instant replays, and I think I'm gonna go with the nutty version, which is like a rewind effect.
Those are some unnatural movements. Oh.
Here, let me go.
brand new instant replay effect I've been working on that I haven't seen done anywhere else on Twitch before. There are a lot of tutorials on YouTube for doing instant replays in OBS. I think Defrag probably has the best tutorial that I've ever seen. You guys should check it out. I'll link it in the description box. But don't click wait, trust me, this one is different. You see, the way most streamers have instant replay set up, they just take a clip of the last 10 seconds and then maybe play it in the corner of their stream. Well, that's old, okay? That's like 2020. Wait, is it still 2020? This has been a long year. Whatever, my effect is the future, because with this effect, the stream actually rewinds to 20 seconds ago, and it even does this cool VHS distortion effect and does that cool sound. It goes, you know that sound that goes when you rewind the VHS tape? Then at any moment I can hit the button again, and then it will fast forward my gameplay to catch up with my real-time gameplay. It's a super cool effect. I'm going to show you how I did that, so sit tight. This one's going to be a long one. Quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, Nerd or Die. If you haven't heard about Nerd or Die already,
no, I should be streaming at 60.
And I worked with Nerd or Die to give the first 100.
I should definitely be streaming at 60 FPS right now.
All you need to do is use my link in the description, pick the design that you want.
Oh, you were talking about
At checkout. The code is
Destiny. It's because I was
fast, but if you do miss out, don't worry. It's gonna need
because I was tabbed out. It auto caps at 30 when you're not focused on it.
A couple weeks ago in one of my other videos. This is what's gonna allow you to do the rewinding, the fast forwarding, and even add
Yeah,
slow-mo to your game.
that's because I was tabbed out of
You're
it.
also gonna need OBS shader filter to do that VHS distortion effect when you're rewinding and fast forwarding your gameplay. If you haven't heard about OBS shader filter before, it basically allows you to apply what's called a shader, which essentially just allows you to add effects to any source in OBS. And the shader that we're gonna be using to do that VHS distortion
Yes,
effect,
that is
that's
definitely a windowed thing.
not by me. You think I got the talent to do that? I just got Excel to make it. The download link for this custom shader will be in my Discord. You'll find it in the design files channel, and it'll just be called VHS shader, so just search for that. Links for everything will be in the... Yeah?
Sir, yes. Does this work with Streamlabs OBS?
No, it doesn't. How many times do I have to tell you, Steven? Don't make me... Oh, and I forgot, you're also going to need some kind of macro software to program a bunch of commands in OBS. So you can use any of these Stream Deck alternatives that I've talked about on this channel. You can use Touch Portal, Leorin Board, but ironically, you can't actually use a Stream Deck for this for reasons that I'll talk about in next week's video. All right. Boring stuff out of the way, let's start putting this effect together. We're going to start with what I think is a pretty typical but simple layout for OBS. It's just a single scene with one source for your desktop and then another source for your webcam. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take whatever your gameplay source is, so in this case your desktop, and then stuff it into a nested scene, and then stuff that scene into another nested scene. Now, if you're like, what the hell is a nested scene, Nutty? You can't just be throwing out random terms I've never heard about in here. I talked a little bit about what nested scenes are in another video, but essentially in OBS, you're able to add scenes into other scenes. And this is going to be a really good example of why you want to use nested scenes. Basically, all you need to do is to create two extra scenes. We're going to call one of them gameplay, and then the second one gameplay layer 1. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your gameplay source, stuff that into layer 1, and then get your layer 1 scene and then stuff that into your gameplay scene. And then now in your initial OBS scene, you're gonna replace the desktop source with your new gameplay scene. So basically, to summarize, you've got your gameplay source in layer 1, and then layer 1 is in your gameplay scene, and then your gameplay scene is in your initial OBS scene, which is what your viewers are actually gonna be looking at. That's the OBS setup. Now we're gonna set up the rewinding and fast forwarding part. So to do that, you're gonna right click on layer 1, go to filters, and then add a dynamic delay filter. Now you're gonna see 4 sliders here that have a percentage next to them. And in a little bit, you're gonna be able to set a different hotkey for...
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to turn the stream off to do this, especially because I don't think I have the...
gameplay source is going to be moving. So essentially, if I want to set it up so that my gameplay rewinds at...
Yeah, I don't think I have dynamic delay installed.
Fast backward slider to negative 1000%. And then same thing, when I'm fast forwarding my gameplay, if I wanted to play at 10 times speed, then I'd also set that to 1000%. Now the duration is going to be a time
I do
in
already have it
seconds,
installed.
and it's
Okay.
going to be the target delay for your gameplay. Now that sounds confusing because it was confusing to me, but think of it this way. If I wanted to rewind my gameplay to the past, how far back do I want to rewind to? That amount of time is the duration. So if I want to rewind my stream to 20 seconds ago, I'd set the duration to 20 seconds. And then same thing for slow motion. How long would I want to apply slow motion for? Well, however long it takes until my gameplay becomes 20 seconds delayed for my real-time gameplay. Now for the easing duration, just set this to 0. I don't want to explain what this does because it's just going to confuse you even more. But let's set some hotkeys now so you can actually see the dynamic delay in action. So to do that, go into your settings and go to hotkeys and then scroll down to where your layer 1 scene is. And you should see some extra hotkeys for fast forward, fast backward, slow forward, fast backward.
Yes, yes I do.
Hotkey for fast forward and fast backward, which is going to be for the fast forward and rewind effect. And then now what you should notice is when I hit my fast backward hotkey, my gameplay
I've got two 4 terabyte hard drives on top of the like 3 or 4 NVMe drives that I'm running.
So hopefully that made sense to you. If it didn't, go back and rewatch that part of the video so I make more so you understand.
I haven't looked at hard drive prices in a while. I probably should.
Setting up our macro software. Now for that, I'm going to be using Touch Portal just because I think Touch Portal works best for what we're going to be doing. If you've never used Touch Portal before, I recommend looking up some tutorials first because
yeah, I am definitely
at least the basics of how to use it. Anyway, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting up a button that when you press the
definitely
button, to rewind the gameplay, and then when you press it again,
I've used up 1.5 terabytes of my first hard drive just in the last, what, 2 or 3 weeks since I really started streaming.
And if you're familiar with programming, this is really simple. You just add an if action and an else action. Now what we want is when the button is in its off state, we want it to rewind, and then when it's in its on state, we want it to fast forward. So the logic for that is really simple. If the button state is off, then press your rewind hotkey, and if the button state is on, press your fast forward hotkey. So for me, I'm going to add a virtual key press for my rewind hotkey, which I set to F14, and then another one for my fast forward hotkey, which I set to F15.
F14, F15, what the hell is that? I don't have that on my keyboard.
Yeah, I know. I don't have that on my keyboard either. In fact, I don't have any F keys on my tiny ass keyboard. But fun fact, old keyboards actually had a row of F13 to F24 keys on them. It's just modern keyboards don't have them anymore. But luckily, OBS actually still recognizes those keys. Anyway, now that that's done, you can add a label to your button, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the label on the button every time that I press it so that I know what the key does. Alright, now comes the fun part, which is adding that VHS distortion effect. Now this part isn't totally necessary, but I think this is going to be the thing that really sells this effect. Like, your viewers' minds are going to be totally blown. They're going to be like, whoa, VHS, what is this? The dinosaur era? I bet you there's going to be like one of you guys out there that's going to be like, wait a minute, they didn't have VHS in the dinosaur times?
Definitely taking up a lot of space, especially since I record at 4K.
Anyway, dinosaurs aside, we're going to add our VHS filter by right-clicking on our gameplay scene, going to filters, and then adding a user-defined shader. Click on load shader from text file, and then select the VHS shader that you downloaded from the Discord earlier. Now the default settings look great. This is exactly what we want, but I'm actually going to disable that filter for now and then add a second VHS shader. And I'm going to call this one VHS Lite. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn down some of these settings to create a weaker version of our VHS distortion filter. So what you should have is 2 VHS.
I only record in it because that's what I play at.
One more filter to make our gameplay black and white. So
I still, obviously you can't really, well, I think you can stream at 4K if you really wanted to, but I stream at 1080p.
All the way down to -1.
So yeah.
So if you enable the strong VHS filter and the black and white filter, this is exactly what we want our gameplay to look like while it's rewinding. And to make that work, you have to go back into Touch Portal and do a little bit more work on our macro. And this is what our macro is going to look like. We're going to turn on the VHS filter and the black and white filter at the same time. Then we're going to hold it by adding a 2-second delay.
You can do that in OBS.
After that 2-second delay, we're going to turn off both of those filters. Now the length of the delay you put in, you're going to have to calculate yourself. But for me, because I'm rewinding my gameplay by 20 seconds at 10 times speed, copy all these commands for the else statement of your macro because you also want all of these filters to turn on when you're fast forwarding your gameplay. Okay, so we're nearly done, but I wanted to add a few more details to this effect. I wanted to add some text that actually says rewind while it's rewinding and fast forward when it's fast forwarded. So I created
I think so anyway. Hold on. I'm checking here.
Rewind and fast forward in some retro text font that I found somewhere online. Then I imported both of those images into my gameplay scene in OBS. And I just added a few more lines to my macro to show and hide that image along with the VHS filter and the black and white filter. Okay, a couple more steps, and I promise we're nearly done. I also wanted to add a little overlay to the instant replay that says instant replay with a red blinking dot. This is just to let my viewers know that what they're watching is a replay and not my real-time gameplay. So I created a WebM file in HitFilm Express, and then I imported that WebM file into my gameplay scene. Then in my touch portal macro, after my stream has rewinded? Whatever the word is, after it's rewinded, show this WebM file, and then when I fast forward it again, hide this WebM file. I also, at the same time as enabling that WebM file, I want to enable that VHS light filter so that when my viewers are watching the instant replay, you just get this nice little subtle wiggle in the gameplay footage that makes it look like they're
That
watching
doesn't tell me
something
anything.
from the past. Okay, I know.
Hold on.
For that.
Oh, okay.
Well, we're trying for flawless.
Yep. And I am both streaming and recording this, so if you guys screw up, it will be forever on the internet.
Oh,
yes.
I
Woo!
wanna
What if you say bad words?
Wonderful.
Bad
I'm gonna
words,
screw
bad
up
words.
the opening encounter again.
Oh, my
I'm
channel
just
is
gonna-
not big enough to be
Nope,
monetized
I guess it
yet.
does.
Well, here's the
Feel
thing,
free to
though.
say
If
lots of
somebody
bad words.
dies on the opening encounter, no big deal.
SWS
You
does
start it
stream
over
and
with-
record at
Oh.
1080. That
I
is
mean,
How
unfortunate.
long though?
Our first run of VOG got all the way to Gatekeeper, and
Yeah. So if I that's because I've turned HDR on that particular monitor off. But yeah, I've stopped using HDR because if you're not looking at it on an HDR screen as well, it gets really blown out like that. Like for me, if my monitor had still been HDR, that would have looked normal. All right. No, my monitor is definitely not HDR 1000. It's I think it's 400. It's either 400 or 600. All right, let's see here. That is an old ass screenshot. Okay. do you have HDR turned on in Windows as well? Because I noticed that with Destiny, if I've turned HDR on in the game, but I haven't enabled the HDR through Windows for that monitor, it doesn't actually display HDR, and it'll mess up your color levels. All right, I think I'm gonna have to turn off this stream so that I can start messing around with the OBS settings. I'll be back on in a little bit. If you want to hop in Discord and talk to me, I'll be in there.